Hey, you. Just trying to set it up. I've got some low-tech gear going on here. It's 4 in the morning. I've been awake a couple of hours and just been chewing over some stuff. And a friend of mine, what would be considered a wealthy guy, was in a conversation inferring that the status quo was on a bit of a knife edge because of Brexit. And that was the third person to mention the upcoming impending potentiality for financial hardship because of Brexit. And the clever trick about Brexit is that we've got groups of people pointing the finger at other groups of people, saying that either the supposed impending financial doom is the consequence of either people being too eager to get out of Brexit, or perhaps people feeling the need to cling to the trade agreements or whatever that come from being in Europe. I used to be an avid follower of the news. I used to be very interested in how all of this was unpacking. And now I know that it's, as Mencken will tell us, a never-ending series of hobgoblins provided courtesy of our government, who work for the bankers, who work for some other hidden hand of control, it would seem. They're not in the business of making life easy for us, actually. They are creating those hobgoblins, and this Brexit business is a superior hobgoblin. I mean, it might even be more powerful a meme than the Donald Trump wall, which again it's the North Americans' hobgoblin. And a bunch of other trade deals, NAFTA, TAFTA, WAFTA, whatever craft. It's all dialectic, because it's like, okay, so I'm going to create a set of paperwork that allows a certain thing, then I'm going to create further paperwork that constrains that same thing. And now you, the business owner, the would-be house seller, even the income support receiver, who thinks that their welfare is now connected to some series of trade agreements or paperwork that have been created by a bunch of numpties. The nerds from Nerds Vacation all gang together, put on funny wigs, and then decided to bring in a whole raft of controls that would constrain your world and cost you more money. But the clever trick is get you to blame your neighbor. Yeah, don't blame the weirdo in the wig, blame the neighbor. There's some limp-wristed, messed up shit going on in Parliament, in houses of power, and the corridors of power, or would-be power, the power that you give away every day by consenting to this lunacy, this craziness that is a bureaucracy that you've been tricked into believing that you need in order for us to work together, in order for us to do business with each other, if we choose to do business with each other. Oh yes, your socialist, capitalist, communist kind of control net is absolutely now more rapacious, more powerful, more controlling than anything that Adolf Hitler or Stalin or any of these other characters from the Hollywood version of reality that we've been fed would have sought to achieve. So, no, all these terrorist events, false flags, and dialectics that are constantly being thrown at you to frighten you into giving away more and more of your power. And again, it doesn't matter whether you're the richest dude or the poorest dude. The poorest people I meet on the street sometimes are the most bought into the state of affairs and the state of the need for government, despite it being the government that is holding them or has created the conditions to cause them to be basically evicted from normal society. Now, I'm not suggesting that the solution is simple now, but I'm just making the point that this is not about rich and poor. This is about repetition and the power of suggestion, and the power of how me saying, or your government saying, or your trusted broadcaster telling you Brexit, 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 bad, 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 or whatever. The more I suggest it to you, the more it becomes real. I even caught a snippet of a newspaper yesterday when I was on the train, and I noticed that Iran are under some American sanctions. So I guess the noose is tightening again on that part of the world, the dialectic again. And so what the British public will be fed is a constant diet of Syria is bad and Bashar al-Assad is bashing everything and very bad. And eventually enough folks would have heard that and go, okay, we need to do something. And I think that a financial crash, if it comes, will be timed to sort of meet with some other political event, so as like Brexit, so as to put the blame on something external rather than any kind of, you always the nerds need their little narrative. Oh yeah, we know exactly how this war started. We know exactly how this financial crash started because of X, Y, and Z. Blame the other sheep in the pen next door. That's exactly what goes on, And of course, the system controllers know they need 2 or 3 or 30 different stories to come out. 1 or 2 that are the most popular for most of the nerds to cling on to. Ooh, new scientist told me that this, or was it American scientist told me this, or the Financial Times, FT's like most trusted reporter said this, and therefore that's what it is. This is how it went down, and this is who you need to finger when it comes to the blame. Always a long way from the real culprits. I'm starting to sound a little bit gritty here, like Max Egan. But it's one of those things that annoys the shit out of me, actually. There's not much zen in my delivery on this point, because it seems to me the ultimate means of control is the power of suggestion, and the power to suggest to our malleable minds from a very young age that we need to submit to a higher authority of man, made of man. As a child, I used to ask my folks, why do we give up all this authority? Well, it's just the system, it's the way it is. Well, I'm here to tell you that's bullshit. There are other ways, and this business of suggesting to everybody all the time that they're weak, incapable, and totally dependent on a Theresa May and a Donald Trump and a bunch of muppets to kind of make things right for us. You've lost the power of your own mind, my friend. And these are people who call me crazy. These are people who would stand up and go, oh, what are you talking about? What do you mean? These are people who are in a dream state. And it's I that has to maintain like a level of composure whilst dealing with Disney's drooling fools who don't realize any of what's going on around them is real or created for them to imagine. I mean, I just think, I look around at the city now and see people going about their Club Penguin lives as though it all matters. I do ask myself sometimes whether I'm, or any of us are, they're meant to intervene on people's, Alice in Wonderland story, because people are living in Wonderland and they don't seem to want to be brought out of it. They don't thank you for waking them from it. Or they thank you when you've woken them from it or helped them wake from it, but up until that point they don't want to know. And this is maybe why you see all the Illuminati symbolism of this, the finger over the mouth. Whether that isn't the case, that people go, well, we've tried before, you can try and wake Alice up, you can try and wake them up, but if you do, the game stops. That's why they don't want to wake up. Or if you do, there's some other eventuality or some other ending. Is this what it's all about? I don't know. But I know for sure that the Brexit thing is a completely staged dialectic, and I'm not suggesting that there isn't a financial, hangover or implication from these things, but I'm fairly sure that all of those implications are of man, and they are of man, and they're all therefore designed by man. Unless, of course, you're one of those people who think that everything just simply happens by coincidence. It's the coincidence theorists who seem to abound today. It's just their government's ineptitude, and we got rid of them. Now we've got another bunch of inepts who've come in to be more inept than the last set of inepts. But they're on a different team, so they're either more or less retarded than my team members. So that's the kind of simplicity of the Disney dwellers, the way they see it. Oh, it's just a coincidence that this should happen, and because we're just so dumb and greedy and power hungry and so on. These are just the excuses you're fed. These are the lies. Anyway, I'm going to keep it short there. That's long enough. Have a good day. My next one will be sunnier and brighter, I promise you.